Welcome. This video is for those of you who have already made a conscious decision to go through a transformation process and you're living it, whether you want to call that your spiritual awakening or your spiritual journey, however you title it, this video is for you. Now, first off, kudos for doing what you're doing, right? Kudos for showing up for yourself and making a conscious decision to change your life and level up. Okay, that's number one. Second thing is that there's something that I see that happens all of the time when someone enters the spiritual journey or spiritual awakening space, and it's something that comes up so frequently that I decided to make a video all about it. So that's what I'm doing today. Now, let's just talk about how you can be, you're on your transformation journey, you're on your spiritual journey, and you're going along and things are feeling like really awesome, right? You're feeling feelings you've never felt before in your life. You're just feeling really good, feeling really at ease, feeling at peace. Things are rolling. Yes, there's moments that are difficult. Yes, there's moments where you're pushing forward when you kind of don't want to be. But overall, like, it just feels really, really good. Okay, now sometimes people will slip into this beautiful space of like perfect alignment, and you'll be in this place where it's just like everything is flowing and things are going great and like things gonna be better and like you just feel amazing and so wonderful in that space. And it's kind of like this, how did this happen? Oh my God, this is so amazing. Well, you made it happen, right? You said goodbye to the things that you were holding on to that weren't helping you. You made the changes that were necessary for you to be able to move forward. You created this new space. You leveled up and brought yourself to this new vibration. Now, a lot of times what happens when we get to this new vibrational space, we're super excited to be there. It feels really good. And we start making changes. And the reason we start making changes is because it feels like we can't really even make another choice, right? So if you've seen my videos before, you might have heard me talk about when I left my full-time job so I could focus 100% on my business. Because prior to that, I was doing both. I was working full-time and trying to do my business on the side. And there was this point that came where it was like, I got to let this full-time thing go and I got to give all my energy to my business. And so that's like one of those things where it's like you level up and you're at this space where you're like, I don't even align with this old job anymore, or I don't align with this old relationship anymore, or I don't align with this way of behavior or way of thinking anymore, right? You're leveling up to that next level. And when you get to that space, you start making changes. It's a naturally part of the process. And like, really, if we break it down, like, that's why we're doing all of this stuff anyway, right? I know for me, 10 years ago, I was living a life that I was like, what is this? I don't want this. This isn't how I want to live my life. There's just gotta be another way to live. And so that started my ball rolling on everything of figuring out, like, how do I really want to live? Who am I? Like, what am I doing? And now I devote my life to helping other people do that exact same thing, go down that same path and change their lives so that when you look around, it's what you want to see. The life you're living is how you want to be living. When you go to bed at night and your head hits that pillow, you're happy. That's what I'm here for. So I'm Erica Onofrio. I'm owner of Soul to Soul, and my purpose in life is to help others live more peaceful, more fulfilling, and more authentic lives. So this video is going to help you do those three things. Let's get started. All right, so like I said, things are going well. You decide to make that major change. Just had to check my notes there. You decided to make that major change, and like, that's an amazing thing, and you do it. And sometimes at first it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like walking in a dream. This is so amazing. I can't believe it. I'll hear people say things like, I felt like I made it. I've done the same thing before. It's like, this is what I was reaching for all of this time. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And then all of a sudden, it's like the rug gets like pulled out from underneath of you and things don't feel good and things start going and go wrong and like everything just doesn't feel right and you don't feel in alignment and you feel uncomfortable and your energy feels heavy and you're like, what happened? Like, I thought I was like doing the right thing. I thought I was taking the right steps. I knew in my heart this was the right move I needed to make. Like, what happened? Let me tell you that it is not your fault. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. That's a huge one, right? A lot of people come in with some sort of like guilt feeling, like, what did I do wrong? Did I forget something? Like, am I not grateful enough? Like, what am I doing wrong? And it's nothing that you're doing wrong. It's because you're doing everything right that you sort of end up in this space. So let me explain that deeper, because I know you're probably shaking your head like, what are you talking about? So, all right. If you are in this space, you have done so many things right that you've now gotten yourself to a new vibration. Okay, so let's take that theory. Let's take that theory of vibration rates. Okay, so some of you might know about this and some of you don't. I'll do my best to explain it briefly enough. Basically, like, everything in the world is made of energy and everything has a vibration rate. So some things have a lower vibration rate and some things have a higher vibration rate. Okay, this is true also of humans. And also, it's important to note that humans can vibrate on one level in one space and like another level in another space. But overall, there's this general vibration that your soul has, or that your energy has, your field has, that you mostly hang out in, okay? And so when we are in a place where we're shifting our vibration, or we're moving from one level to another level of vibration, you are going to have to do a lot of work to get to that space, right? So it's not just like you just wake up and like everything's groovy. Like, no, like, you have to do stuff to get to that space. And then once you have done all of that stuff to get to that space, now it's like a whole new ball game, like a whole new life and a whole new world. So let me just try. I'm a super visual learner, so I'm going to try to explain this with a little visualization. So let's just pretend that this green line here was the vibration rate that you used to be at. Okay, so that's where you used to be, is green. And now you've done all this cool stuff and you've leveled up, and now you're at this vibration rate of blue. So the thing is that when you're at green, there are going to be certain things that you do at green that are not going to vibe with blue. Why? Because it's a different vibration rate. So let's just say that you accepted certain behaviors from other people at this vibration rate, or let's say you ate a certain way at this vibration rate, or you had a certain sleeping pattern at this vibration rate, or you exercised a certain way. Anything at all really in your life, the relationships that you had with people, what they were like at this vibration rate. Once you were in like full alignment with this vibration rate, that's when you were feeling that like groovy space and like everything feels really good and I feel really aligned and things are just happening for me. And then you made your way up to this vibration space, usually by making a major life decision or by the universe handing you a major life decision. So I'll use a very recent example. Someone had quit their job and moved into a new job. Okay, that's one that happens all the time. Now, another option is that somehow your job gets removed from you and you have to go and look for another job. Okay, so it's like, you know, it can be something that you did, or it can be something that sort of was like done for you. But the bottom line was that the reason that the job is gone now, or even it could be pay rates, right? Like you got a pay rate raise. The reason that it's gone now is because you no longer aligned with what it was, basically. I hope I'm making sense here. Okay, so you are now at blue. And because of what you did or because of what was done, you have gone to blue. And so now at blue, the world is a different place for you. So you're going to interact differently. So if there were some habits that were cool and they jived in this green space, they're not jiving in the blue space. There could be ways that people, behaviors that you accepted from people here, you're not going to accept them here. There could be ways of relating here, you're not going to relate that way here. There could be ways of thinking here, you're not going to think that way here, okay? Acting, doing, being, how you're showing up in the world, you're not going to do those things in this new space because your vibration has raised and now you interact with the world from this vibration rate, not from this one. And so the reason why when you do these huge jumps and you make these major changes is that stuff feels like it's starting to hit the fan and go crazy, is because in essence it is. Here at blue, anything at all that you're still dragging along with you from green, it's got to go. It cannot come with you. You can't bring that into that new vibrational space. It doesn't belong there. And so you've got to get rid of it. And then, as you know, because you already are working on this process, you've already done some spiritual stuff, you've already been on your journey, you know what it feels like to shake off that old stuff. And it's the same thing that's happening now again. And so sometimes it feels even heavier than it felt before when you were trying to get from that one to that one. And so I'm gonna put this down, but basically the bottom line is that in order for you to really level up to blue, anything that's not aligned with blue has to go. So anything that's not aligned with that next level of vibration has to go. And that can feel really uncomfortable. Why? Because you are seeing your BS nice and clearly now, right? We all have BS. Every single last one of us has it. And so it just matters on how much of it do you have, how much of it do you see, what do you do about it, do you ignore it, do you face it head on, do you deal with it, do you alleviate it, what are you doing with it? So let's just take a moment to, again, I want to just remind you that if you're on the spiritual journey, you're intentionally doing the spiritual work, you're trying to build yourself a better life, you are someone who is like, yes, I have BS, I'm fully aware of it, and I want to see what it is so I can clear it, and so I can move on, and so I can create my reality exactly how I want it to look. That is amazing, and you are amazing for taking on that path in life. Now, there are plenty of people who also have BS, who are completely unaware of it, or who choose to completely ignore it and choose not to change. So if you think about it right now in this moment, I'm sure you can name at least one person that you know that has not changed whatsoever in like 15 years, okay? So that's an example of not doing spiritual work, and then you're an example of doing spiritual work, right? Doing the journey, doing the path. Why? Because it brings you a better life, right? When I founded this business, it was based on that, bringing people more peaceful and more fulfilling and more authentic lives. And that's what the spiritual journey does. It brings you to this place of authenticity. It brings you to this place of peace. It brings you to this place of fulfillment. And that is what you're doing by taking on all of this work and by being strong enough and courageous enough and vulnerable enough to face your own BS head on and deal with it and get rid of it if it's not serving you. So yeah, anyway, great. So kudos to you for doing all of that stuff. So what that means though is that all of it has to go if it doesn't align with the next place that you've gone. Now there's there's stuff that's written on vibration rates and things like that. So you could say that like in certain vibration rates, a person's going to experience these sorts of things, maybe rid of these certain things. At this next vibration rate level, they're going to do these certain things, and then the next one they're going to do these things. Some of this stuff is in like soul realignment. I think you can find some of this stuff in some of the books out there too. It might not use the exact words that I'm using, but the general idea, I've seen it again and again and again in many different ways. There's even charts too, right, that you can look up. So anyhow, as you're making those jumps, you don't just like hop up the ladder. It's hard work. But what I want to talk about today is just shifting that perspective of it, from it being like, oh, it's so hard, I can't do it, or like I'm suffering, to like, yes, this is amazing. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm doing this to create a better life for myself. I want you to move into that space rather than that heavy and that difficult space, okay? So one way I can do that is by explaining it to you so you understand that this is part of the process and it's super normal, and most people end up experiencing it at some time, unless you somehow just wake up one day, poof, enlightened, and you don't have to experience all this stuff. And then I think there's just a few of those people that exist in the world. The rest of us have to do some work, right? So let's see. Sorry, my notes here for a moment. Okay. We're always growing if we want to be growing, so keep that in mind too. This is a choice, okay? So you are making a conscious choice to do growth, okay? So let's say you did leave a job and you went to find another job that works better for you. Or let's say you left a job so that you could completely work for yourself and focus on that and put all of your energy in that space. Those are choices that you made. You made those choices to have a better life for yourself, okay? If you made the choice to get married this year, you made the choice to partner up with another individual and make that commitment with that individual and create a life with that individual. That is a choice that you made. We're constantly making choices, and we can be making choices that help us grow, or we can be making choices that help us stay stuck. And if you're on the spiritual journey, you're probably making choices that help you grow, even if they're scary, even if it takes a ton of courage, even if it requires you to be super vulnerable, you're doing it anyway. Okay, so remembering that it is always a choice. And so if you want to take the choice of getting out of that space and not being in that space, that is also a choice, okay? So keep that in mind, because I bring this up because I do hear a lot of times complaining about the spiritual journey or about it. And it's like, hey guys, this is a choice. Like, nobody's holding a gun to your head saying like you must evolve and you must face your BS and you must let go of it. You know what it feels like when you don't let go of that stuff, right? Like, I know what it feels like when I don't let go of the things that are, following me around. And you also know what it feels like when you do let go of it. It feels really, really good. So again, though, you are making that choice, okay? So no complaining zone. All right, change your perspective, okay? So this is a huge one because all emotions are necessary for human life in my perspective. So I'm just gonna make sure that this is my perspective that I'm sharing right now, but all emotions are necessary for human life, okay? In the spiritual world, there is this whole idea to get to this enlightenment place. Like, what? I'm gonna like float around and like nothing's ever gonna bother me ever again for the rest of my life. Like, maybe that happens to some people. I'm actually not trying to get there, because to me, I learned so much from all of my emotions, right? So we learn from anger, and we learn from fear, and we learn from sadness, and we learn from pain, and we learn from guilt, and we learn from shame, and we also learn from love, and we also learn from joy, and we also learn from peace, and we also learn from reason and understanding and acceptance and courage and neutrality and apathy. We learn from it all, okay? So if you switch your perspective on your emotions to they are teachers to you. Emotion simply means energy in motion, okay? Energy in motion. If you allow that energy to move through you, how it's intended to move through you, and science has shown like 90 seconds is the lifespan of an emotion when you just get out of the way and give it its space to move through you, it will teach you. You can learn from it. So, no emotions are bad. They're all ways in which we learn. The problem is that rather than allowing emotions to move through us, since it's not something we've ever really been taught, and we're not taught it in school, is we either stifle that emotion, we push it down, we ignore it, we suppress it, we avoid it. People numb out themselves with drugs and alcohol to avoid the emotions. You can also be addicted to shopping, to eating. Like, you can use anything. You can even use meditation to avoid your true emotions, right? You can use anything to avoid and suppress and deny and ignore and run from your emotions. The converse is embodying the emotion. So it's like you become the emotion, right? So I think you can think of somebody that that sort of just this like becomes sadness, like they're always sad, or becomes anger, they're always angry, and like everything they do is peppered in that. But what we want to do, and that's sort of what I believe the ideal is just like, hey, let's just feel it. Feel it. What is it telling you? It's usually showing you what's important to you. It's usually showing what's valuable to you. Sometimes it's old stuff that's stuck in there that is from way long ago. A book about this is The Body Keeps a Score, if you haven't read that one yet. And essentially, like, old things get stuck in different parts of our bodies. This is partially why I teach and do yin yoga, is because some stuff just gets lodged in the body and we can't get it out with, meditation and journaling and all the different sort of energy tools and stuff that we use. Sometimes we just gotta get in that body, okay? Massage is another good one, rolfing, those kinds of things. But anyway, the bottom line is that there's emotions that are occurring on a daily basis to you, okay, that you want to use as your messenger. There also may be emotions that are stored inside your body from previous trauma, and we've all basically had trauma. If you're alive and a human being, you've probably had trauma, unless somehow you magically haven't. And if you didn't ever have any trauma, you're probably not watching this video. So anyway, the thing is we need to get it all out, okay? So whether we're pulling up an old emotion and we're allowing that old emotion the space to leave us now, or we're facing a head on an emotion that's currently coming through. A recent example that I've been seeing lately is anger, okay? A lot of people are in this space of anger right now. It's the end of 2020. Things didn't go as people planned. Things are still not going how people are planning, and so there's a lot of stuckness in this space of anger. Anger in and of itself is not a bad emotion. If you allow yourself that 90 seconds to just sit and just feel the anger and let it go, see what messages it has to bring to you, see what it's trying to tell you and what you can learn from it, and then keep it moving. The problem with anger is when people explode or hold on to it, or you're constantly suppressing it, and then you're like creating this like fire within you that just wants to be released, and you're not giving it the space to release, okay? So looking at how you're changing your perspective on that all of the emotions are good, because a lot of times what happens is when people are on this spiritual journey, when they raise their vibration to that next level. So now remember, you went from green, now you're on blue. You've got all this stuff now that's got to go, and it can feel really heavy, right? Like you could have some old sadness that you were holding on to from like second grade, and it has to go now because it doesn't align with you anymore. So that's coming up to the surface to be healed. And then you know what else? Like you're, ticked off at the postman because he puts your mail in the thing weird or something, okay? Like, again, that's great. That's something for you to be aware of that is going to help you move past it, So like without, what is it, like non-judgment, unconditionality, like, all sorts of things. Like it's not really, he's not putting the mail in that way to tick you off. He's just doing it because that's the way that works for him, right? Understanding, acceptance, all those kinds of things. Those are all things you're going to have to learn at this new vibration. So that old stuff that you were doing in green, it's not going to fly in blue. And that's why all this stuff comes to the surface. Not because you did anything wrong, not because you're making wrong decisions, not because you can't figure out what's going on. It's just because you got to level up. So you got to ditch everything that's not going to allow you to be embodied in that new vibration and to be really living in that new vibration, okay? Let's see what else I have on my notes here. Okay, this is huge. Don't judge, just learn. Do not judge all the stuff that is happening and coming up to the surface, your own BS, your old trauma, old memories, how you're interacting all of a sudden that you weren't interacting before. Don't judge it. Just learn from it. Everything is here to teach you and everything is here to help you. So learn from all of it. And that is going to help you move through this whole entire process 10 times faster, 10 times smoother, okay? And it's going to be much more enjoyable too. Be grateful that you are seeing yourself with greater clarity. That's huge, okay? Like I said before, I've already talked about this, but like some people don't even know that they have BS, they're just living their life and like doing things and like, I don't understand why this doesn't work out for me, or they call it bad luck. Like I just have bad luck and things don't work out for me. And it's like, no, we're all here creating our own realities, okay? So the faster that you get with the program, see your own BS, let it go, learn from it, not judge it, then the faster that you get to like move on and create the life that you really want to create. Okay. We talked about this before in this sense of the more that you focus your energy and that you take ownership over your life and your energy, the more that you create your reality versus you sort of just being like a passive, almost like that ping pong ball gets knocked around and other things are creating its reality. Outside factors are creating its reality. When you take ownership and you start to own your energy and direct your energy intentionally and show up and do the work and face all those things that are going on inside, that's when you take real ownership. That is when you are creating your reality. And one of the theories too is the higher your vibration, the easier it is to create the reality that you want to create, as well as the faster the reality that you want to create is created. Now I'm going to talk a little side note about that. Another reason why it's important to shift your perspective when you find yourself in this space, because it's real easy to just be like, you know what, that's it. I give up on all this junk. None of this stuff works. I don't know why I believe those books or those people on YouTube or whatever else it was. That stupid energy healer, she doesn't know what she's talking about, right? Like, it's really easy to fall into that space of victim mentality and lack and giving up and throwing in the towel and like laying on the couch and just binge watching Netflix for a week straight. Real easy. However, that vibration isn't gonna get you anywhere except more of that. More of those experiences and more of that reality. And whatever you believe is to be true is going to be true. So it's going to just all be coming back to you. So that's another reason why, as we shift from this one vibration to the next vibration, we can do it in this space of feeling peaceful, of feeling love, of feeling gratitude about it, of feeling empowered, of feeling really good about ourselves, coming from a space of love and not judgment of our own selves, and just knowing that like I'm showing up for myself because this one beautiful life that I have, I'm trying to create the most out of it that I possibly can, and that's why I'm doing this work. The more you stay in that space, the better your vibration is and the more positive stuff that's going to keep coming to you, the easier it's going to be to slough off all that stuff that you don't want and sort of let go of those lower energies that you are not hanging with anymore, whether that's people, places, or things. If it doesn't vibe with you anymore, it's got to go, okay? And it's okay to do that, and you don't need to feel guilty about it. You are creating the life that works for you, and every single person has the ability to create a life that works for them. We have more than enough success stories at this point to know that people can come from anywhere and move to anything, okay? Myself included. All right, so your perspective shift will shift everything. You know, your perspective shifts everything when it comes to this. And really, like, I could have just done a 3-minute video on perspective and then called it a day, but I wanted to go deeper into this topic for you. All right. And remember, this is the final thing I think I'm going to talk about. All right, so how you got here to this space of this new transitional space, that's how you got here is because you did all the stuff that you did. So sometimes it's as simple as like, well, how did I get here? What did I do to get me here? Sometimes you can do the same things and sometimes you need different things, right? So like I know one of my big things was hot yoga. That was getting me to this next space. But then eventually that kind of like it plateaued and it wasn't really moving me anymore. And so I had to switch what type of yoga I was doing and how I was doing it. And then that new yoga helped me jump up. So keep that in mind. Like one thing I've always done is journaling. Journaling always helps me. You know, it's solid. It's like my BFF. It keeps me going. And it's always a consistent thing for me that always helps me move up. Okay. But you have to think about, what did I do to get here? Whatever I did to get here is most likely what I can also utilize to get to that next space, with some exceptions. You know, you might need to bring some new things in. You might need to let go of some things. You might need to shift some things, okay? So But you got here, also part of what you got here by is by having courage, by showing up for yourself, by loving yourself, by doing the work, and by letting go of people and places and things that don't align with you anymore. That's also how you got here, okay? So keep that in mind. It's hard sometimes for people to let go of other people, and I get that. I get it. I've been in that exact same spot, you know, where you've met this person and you've grown with this person and you've had such great times with this person maybe. And then you get to this space where it's like, you know, you have to keep going, and this person just, they're not coming with you. And you can make those decisions. Like, can you just, you know, love them unconditionally from that space and accept them for who they are and be there for them regardless? You know, yeah, of course, sometimes we can absolutely do that, and we can still keep them in our circle and we can still elevate. But sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes you just have to let go. And I know that part can be very painful, and it comes often when it comes to relationships. There's this point where, and I'm talking about, you know, romantic relationships, obviously, but it also comes in friendships too, and it also comes in family members. There's this point where sometimes you just have to let go. And you can do that. You can let go with love, but still let go. And each one is obviously individual. So you have to make that decision for you. But that's something that's huge that maybe needs to happen, right? And then also when it comes to patterns of behavior that you're doing, things that you're doing on your daily life, you know, maybe you were never really sleeping enough. Maybe the next level is going to require you to get a solid 8 hours of sleep every night. You know, maybe the next level is going to require you to have a little bit more self-discipline when it comes to like the time you spend on social media or something. Maybe the next level means that you just like get rid of your TV and just decide the next year of your life you're only going to read books. Like, I don't know what it looks like for you, because it's such an individual process for every single person. But you got to decide what it is that needs to go, or what perspective shifts need to be made for the things that you want to keep in your life as you move forward. So anyway, the way that you got here is the way that you get out of here, okay? Plus or minus some different things. And so keep that in mind. Like, you already did it once or twice or 3 times or 10 times. Like, I don't know where you are in your journey, but you've already done it. So you know how to do it again. And you also know what's on the other side. And that is super important, because you know what it feels like on the other side. You know what it feels like to be aligned on the other side. You know what it feels like. Maybe you don't necessarily know what it feels like to live at that new vibration, but you have an idea of what it's gonna be like at that new vibration. You can kind of taste it, right? You can kind of feel it in your heart. And so this is growth, man. If you want it, do it. If you want to be on the spiritual journey, or you want to be growing and changing and shifting your life, this is how it happens. It's not gonna be easy. You know, you level up, you do these things. You're gonna have to make tough decisions. You're gonna have to let go of things that maybe you'd rather not let go of, whether that's behaviors or thoughts or patterns or people or places or things, so that you can move to that next level. And it's a choice. Remember, you're constantly making a choice. You can always choose to stop at any time that you want to. You could choose to go backwards, or you can choose to keep going. And if you keep going, remember that perspective shift and how you view your journey and how you view your life. And everything is here to help you. Everything is helping you evolve and be a better person and have a life that's more peaceful and it's more fulfilling and it's more authentic. You keep that in your mind and keep that at the forefront. That's going to make everything go much smoother and much faster too, as you let go of the stuff. All right. And if you don't want to change, you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it, but you definitely wouldn't still be watching this video at this point if that's you. So obviously you're someone who wants to be doing this stuff. All right. So anyway, that's the end of my spiel. There were a lot of people recently coming in with this kind of experience going on, and so I felt like a video like this would be very helpful. And I've also watched my own self go through it, as well as clients over the last 2.5 years kind of go through this process of like, yeah, this is amazing, I feel great. And then like, what happened? I feel like I got hit by a bus. So I just wanted to share my 2 cents on it. And quick plug for my program. I have a program called 4 Weeks to Freedom. It helps you dive very deeply in, and it's only 4 weeks long, into your own self. We utilize yin yoga, and we utilize journaling and questions, and you have one-on-one sessions with me, and I also do Reiki, and I do intuitive readings for you. And so it's a really powerful and amazing program that is literally only 4 weeks. And the best part of the program is that you, if you're in green, you move to blue by the end of the program. People's lives really significantly change because they move up a whole vibrational space in the program, and then they realign to something new, whether that's a new relationship or a new job, just a new way of being and interacting in the world, a new outlook, perspective, all sorts of things. So it's a really amazing program. I love taking people through it. I love working with you side by side as you go through the program. Spend a lot of time and energy creating it. So there's more details on that below. And then the other thing is I am still offering individual one-on-one sessions. So these are 2-hour-long sessions. I do an hour of energy healing. Reiki is the modality that I use, as well as an intuitive reading, which goes very deeply, and we can align to exactly how you want it to be. So answering specific questions that you want. And then we have an hour of discussion, and that's recorded, and you get to keep that, and it helps a whole bunch on your spiritual journey. So links for everything are in the comments below. If you like this video, please share it with your friends. And thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the very best on your spiritual journey and your life journey. Thank you so much.